Good evening everyone, welcome back to the League 2 Lowdown. I'm Owen Stanley and I'm here to give you a little preview of this weekend's action as football finally returns and Sky Bet League 2 gets underway for the 2026-27 campaign. Lots of exciting stories throughout the season to be told, I'm sure. Everyone watching this, whoever team they support, are going to be hoping that this is potentially their year, or fearing the worst. Who knows? That's what football does at this time of year. Everyone's got their reasons to be optimistic and also their reasons to feel as though anything could go wrong at any given point. I'm just going to rattle through the games we've got coming up. Just a side note, this was going to be a longer episode, but unfortunately we didn't have the availability. But rest assured, the review show for this weekend's upcoming games will be back to the normal format. It will be a much longer video and much more in depth. But for now, I'm going to rattle through the games on opening weekend, give you some predictions and also throw in some predictions from other members of the panel. They've sent them over to me, some interesting ones, shall we say. So yeah, we'll get to them in due course. So I've all written down here, all the different predictions for different people, so don't forget. And we're going to get straight in with the two games that kick off at 12:30 on Saturday. Those selected for Sky Sports Plus, I think it is called. First one being Newport v Rochdale. Interesting fixture, competitive debut for two managers in their new clubs. Hayden Mullins at Newport, and of course Ian Watson replacing Jim McNulty, who left for Pastures New, going to Stockport. So it's an interesting one, this, because you don't know, especially more from Newport's point of view. I think there was a lot of consistent back and forths from their fans trying to justify, and some people moaning about the appointment of Hayden Mullins. It's very much one of those that the proof will be in the pudding. I think you could say it like that. There's a lot of questions rather than answers around him and what he can do at this level, and whether Newport are going to prosper off the back of that. There's a lot of lots of important players as well, so it's going to be an interesting and difficult season for Newport. A lot of us, when we did our predictions the other day, had them either rock bottom or 23rd. So from our point of view, it's not looking good for them. But new season brings new hope. I guess we could be looking at this in 9 months' time and thinking, what a masterstroke. Hayden Mullins did a great job, and now they're in League One. But we'll have to see about that one. Against the Rochdale side, who obviously still riding the wave of promotion from last year. That dramatic last game against York, which looked for the last few seconds it was going to go their way, and then of course it didn't. But they did make up for that by beating Bournemouth at Wembley, and then earning their right back into the Football League. So I think Rochdale, there's, in terms of what we think for them for this season, my personal point of view, I think they'll do okay. I don't think they'll be in any immediate trouble of dropping back down. I think they'll have a season to solidify themselves in the division, and then maybe it'll be next year where they start to look at maybe prospering further and getting themselves into League One if possible. But I think this is going to be a campaign just to solidify themselves as a League Two club, and first season coming back into the Football League. I don't think that's anything to be sniffed at. In terms of predictions for this one, I do back Rochdale to get it done. I think they're going to be a stronger team than Newport this year. Doesn't by obviously all accounts mean that Newport are going to lose every game this season, but I think in terms of the clubs, and you've got nothing to go on for the first game, really, have you? That's the sort of the issue. But I think Newport will be going into it with hope rather than genuine optimism, where I think Rochdale will be riding that wave, as I said earlier, from promotion, and confidence will be high in their ranks. I think it'll be a very low scoring game. I think Rochdale will nick it 1-0. Jordan's gone with a 2-1 Rochdale win. Luke also with a 2-1 Rochdale win, and Jack has gone for a 1-1 draw. On to the second game of the early kickoffs. It is Oldham Athletic against Port Vale. I think this is probably, as I say, you can't read too much into fixtures because we don't know anything about anyone this season yet, but on paper I'd say this is probably one of the standout games of the weekend. It's very appetising fixture, early lunchtime slot as well for this one. Two teams we expect to be up there, Oldham in and around the playoffs, whereas I think we see Port Vale more as top three candidates. So two teams who are going to be towards the right end of the table come the end, we think. Obviously it might not work out that way, but I think they've both done a good job recruitment-wise. I think Port Vale specifically have made a lot of good signings. I look at Carl Dempsey as a Gillingham fan myself. He used to play for us. I loved him, would have loved him back, but not to be, unfortunately. And I think this is going to be two teams that, as I say, are going to be up there, going to be fighting for those promotion spots. And I think this has the ingredients to be one of the games of the opening weekend. Hopefully it will turn out that way. But the neutral's point of view, we all want to see entertaining football, and I'm sure there'll be people joining myself and others to watch that one at 12:30 before their team kicks off at 3 o'clock, and there's of course you're a fan of Newport or Rochdale, in which case you'll be at that game. But yeah, I bet this to be a fun game. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think Port Vale nick it. I think they'll win it by 3-2. It's over very tight. Obviously, if you lose your first game, not great, but doesn't mean an awful lot, and doesn't define your season or anything like that. So I think if Oldham do come up short here, they'll improve on that going forward. Of course they will, but I think Port Vale nick it 3-2. Jordan has gone with a 1-1 draw. Luke with a 0-0 draw, which I think is strange. I think there's going to be goals in this one. And Jack's gone for a 3-1 victory for Oldham. So interesting. Accrington, Colchester next. This is the first of the 3 o'clock games. This isn't a game that inspires a lot to look forward to, does it? With all due respect. I think it's to be a very cagey game. I think Colchester going all the way to Accrington, they'll be happy just to kickstart the season with a point. Obviously they want to go there and win, and Accrington can be a very difficult place to go to at times, but I think it's one of those where neither team have really given me a whole lot of optimism. I don't see a whole lot of moves to suggest that these two teams are going to climb higher this year. Arthur Reed's a massive miss for Colchester, who's gone on to York, and I think for them, unless they do something in the transfer window in the coming weeks, I think it's going to be another mid-table to lower mid-table season for them. Accrington probably more so towards the bottom two. But yeah, we'll see how that one pans out. I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw, this one, unfortunately. Jordan and Luke have both gone for Accrington to nick it by 1 goal, 1-0 for Jordan and 2-1 for Luke, respectively. And Jack has also completed the trifecta of Accrington wins. He's gone for a more convincing 2-0 victory for Aki. But yeah, 0-0 for myself. Another exciting game at the Hive, Barnet v Salford. Very heavily fancied Salford, moneybag Salford. Luke Molyneux and Macaulay Langstaff in League 2 Salford. Yeah, there's a lot of expectation for the Ambies there. That goes without saying, given what they've put into the club this summer in terms of the financial nous that they have compared to pretty much every other team in the division. If they don't achieve promotion this season, then there will be a lot of questions asked, and rightly so. Barnet, by the way, absolutely no mugs, definitely going to be in and around it. The players, I had them just about missing out, but I think they're still going to be a very strong team. I think the losses of Glover instead, maybe for me personally, I think that's probably too big a hit to take to finish in the playoffs this time round, unfortunately. But Brendan is a great manager. I wouldn't be surprised if he proves me wrong and gets them into that top 7. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. But yeah, I think for this game in particular, I think Salford don't have to start strong. You know, we've seen teams in the past be top, for the first 2 months and fade away. 2 come to mind. We'll get to them later on. So, if Salford don't start the season in brilliant form, it doesn't mean a whole lot. We know how reactive the Class 92 can be in terms of managerial appointments. Very much the unknown with Salford's appointment this year, so we'll see how that plans out. But yeah, I have this been another entertaining game. I think it'll be a 2-2 draw, Desmond, if you will, which isn't a bad result for either of these teams in the first day against what is a great challenge for the opening day either for both sides. In terms of our predictions, we've all also gone for draws. I've just seen Jordan's gone for 1-1, as has Jack, and Luke is joining me on the Desmond 2-2 prediction for Barnet v Salford. Moving on to Cheltenham v Rotherham. Rotherham very much, if you haven't seen it already, please do check out our 1 to 24 predictions that came out a few days ago. Some very varied opinions on Rotherham this year. Not sure what to really expect from them. It seems to be that some of the opinion that they're going to come back really strongly and finish in the playoffs or higher, and some think they may plummet and go towards the bottom. I've got them around mid-table, I think, if memory serves. I think it's going to be a season of consolidation for them. I don't think they're going to push massively high, and I don't think they'll be in any trouble, but there's obviously a lot of question marks around the club. The club was run by all accounts very poorly last year, which led to their relegation. I think this is one where we'll have to see through time how it progresses at Rotherham, because every time they've dropped down to League 2, they seem to go straight back up again. Like another team will come onto it a little bit as well. But yeah, I think for Cheltenham, there's hope that they can improve on last year. Obviously, they started the season terribly, and then Steve Cottrell came in and turned it around when it looked in a really dire state, and they ended up staying up fairly comfortably in the end without putting up too many trees. So they'll be hoping for a better return this campaign. We'll see. Both teams very hard to predict, because I see a lot of people have Cheltenham as underdogs and sort of dark horses this year, and I can see that. But me personally, I have them a bit lower than that. But this is it, isn't it? It's pre-season predictions. You never know 100% how teams are going to fare until maybe those first 10 games, and you start to get a bit of an idea. But in terms of the game itself, I have gone with a 2-1 victory for Rotherham. I think they'll nick it on the opening day. Very different to the other two three predictions. Jordan's and Luke have both gone for home wins. Jordan has gone for a 2-0 Cheltenham victory. Luke also 2-0. Jordan 2-1, I should say, sorry. And Jack has also gone for a 2-1. Right, moving on. Chesterfield 3, Fleetwood 0 was my prediction for the next game. A bit of an enigma sometimes, Chesterfield. I think sometimes they struggle away from home, but generally at home they have a good record, and they've had some interesting signings. Romeo Hutton from us, which is not one I'm particularly convinced about, but typical Jaws if he goes to perform somewhere else, I suppose. But I think this is a good opportunity for them. Paul Cook's always a manager you can never underestimate. I think he's someone who breathes confidence out of teams and out of players, and he can get you ticking and get you in the right direction. So I would not be surprised if they're going to be up there. I personally believe they will. I put them in my top three for this campaign, so I expect good things from Chesterfield. Fleetwood, not so much. I think Fleetwood, they're sort of the Cheltenham category, I'd say, could be potential underdogs, but then I suppose you can put so many teams in that category, can't you? So it's hard to say for definite. I like Fleetwood. I think they're a good side. I think they have a great player with Mark Helm, but obviously there's problems with that at the minute due to the injury, and we'll see about that. But I think Fleetwood may be consolidating lower mid-table again, whereas Chesterfield are looking more to push for those automatics, which I believe they will. And as I say, I've gone for a 3-0 victory for Chesterfield on opening day. Fairly similar across the board, apart from Jack, who's gone with a 0-0 draw here. Jordan and Luke have both predicted Chesterfield victories by 2-0 and 3-1 respectively. Respectfully, I should say. Oops. Crawley v Crewe up next. Another interesting game. Crawley have made some crazy signings. Players for Juventus, which is, Juventus to League Two is probably going to be something you'd pick up at a pub quiz in a few years' time, I suppose. But I think Crawley, you never really know what's going on with them, do you? These signings, you can look at it in one way. I think that's completely mental, signing like random players from all these random leagues. But at the same time, it could be a masterstroke, and they could end up being, quality additions to what could make a great side. You don't know, do you? So I think there's always you err on the side of caution with Crawley, but I like the idea that they're an enigma and then they're unpredictable. I think it's going to be entertaining. Crewe, obviously sort of stagnated towards the end of last season, didn't get into the playoffs, and sort of with a few games to go, sort of petered out, and they're sort of almost a nearly club at some stages, Crewe, and I think they're going to have a stronger season this year. I think on opening day, I'm buying into whatever Crawley are selling with these random players. I'm buying into it, and I think they're going to start with a 1-0 victory at home at the Broadfield. Jordan's gone the opposite. He's gone with a 1-0 win for the visitors Crewe. Luke has gone for a 1-1 draw, and Jack has gone with me with a 1-0 win for Crawley. Now on to those two sides who start the season brilliantly and end up nowhere near it at the end. It's Gillingham v Walsall. My team, Gills. Big summer rebuild, loads of players out the door after being tied up to long contracts, which we could finally get rid of. Just because my team, I'm not going to talk about this more than any other game, don't worry. Some signings look like they're going to be great additions for us. Like James Brophy's, Liam Gordon, Kadeem Harris. Terrible result in the cup against Luton, so maybe I'm contradicting myself. Walsall, however, great result at Bristol City last week. I think they played on the Tuesday or Thursday, didn't they? Because of some weird festival going on down there, I don't know. They won 1-0, very much a result that takes your attention. And Walsall and Gills both start their seasons like a train, generally speaking, as I say, and then sort of flitter off into the distance, unfortunately. But I did read something earlier, I believe, that Walsall will have the longest record for not losing on opening day, which doesn't bode well for us. I think both sides will have a decent season. I'll put a sixth. I know some people will probably think that's biased and some people would be correct, but I just think that there's something. I listen to Ainsworth talking. He's a good talker. He's very good at explaining things. It makes me believe, but maybe I'm just silly. As I said, Walsall not lost on the opening day for a very long time now. The record League Grant going in now, and I think that will continue. I don't think they'll win the game, but I think it will be a score draw. I've gone for Gills 1, Walsall 1. Jordan has gone, this isn't great reading for me, by the way. Jordan's gone for a 2-0 Walsall win. Luke's gone for a 1-0 Walsall win, and Jack has gone for a 4-0 Walsall win, which I don't actually think he believes. I think he's trying to wind me up. If he does, fair enough. Grimsby v Exeter next up. Exeter very much fancied to be down the bottom. I think we all had them, much like Newport. I think most of our bottom twos were Newport and Exeter in one order or the other. Comments from manager Taylor about what they can do, what they can't do in the transfer market is very worrying. Gill and Edwards going back into the Football League after a relatively average stint at Morecambe. Alarm bells to me, that sort of signing, if that's the sort of calibre of player you're going for. The name escapes, but they signed a homegrown player not long ago, didn't they, from Truro City, who apparently couldn't really get in their team. I don't know with Exeter. It could be, it's a bit like Rotherham, but probably a bit more concerning. This could go one way or the other, but I don't, with Rotherham, like I was saying earlier, it could go one way or the other, but I have more confidence that they could end up at the right end and the bottom, whereas Exeter, I don't have really any confidence that they're going to put up any trees, and I think they will be in trouble relegation-wise, and I think that is going to be kick-started with a defeat at Blundell Park. Grimsby will be looking to go one better than they did last year, obviously getting knocked out in the playoff semis against Salford. I think they're capable of going further. I think they will go further. I put them in my top three personally. I think they'll extension for Kieran Green's very important, was a very instrumental player for them last year. Some good additions, and Josh Andrews. So I think they'll be up there again this year, and I think they'll get over the line in my personal opinion, whereas I think Exeter will go potentially below the line, which could mean National League. Like I say, I think it'll be a winning start at Blundell Park for Grimsby and a poor start for Exeter. I think it'll finish Grimsby 2, Exeter 0. Jordan has gone for a 3-1 victory for Grimsby. Luke, 4-1 victory, and Jack, a 2-1 victory. Now, this next game, I have no reason for me predicting it to be as wild as I think it will, but I just think that there's going to be a game that's going to spark into massive life. You could argue that with the 3-2 Port Vale prediction from earlier, but I've gone for Northampton 3, Swindon 3, because why not? Opening day, give us something. Give us good highlight reel, who knows. Swindon's ravaged with injuries. Northampton, very good record in this division. I don't think they'll have a gooder season this time around as they have done in previous years. Swindon, again, one of those, I don't think as of right now they're going to put up any trees. I don't think they're going to be really trouble in the top 7, but if it comes to a time where Ian Holloway leaves and they have an amicable replacement, then they could push. We don't know. We'll have to see with time on that one. But I think this will be an entertaining game. I think it'll be high scoring. Why? Couldn't tell you. But Northampton 3, Swindon 3. Why not? Jordan's gone for 2-1 victory for Northampton. Luke, 2-1 victory for Northampton. And Jack has gone with a 1-1 draw. He loves the draw, Jack, is sort of the theme. Apart from this next game, he's a Tranmere fan, just to warn you, pre-tense. Tranmere v Shrewsbury. This is draw all over it, isn't it, surely? Two teams who I don't expect a lot from this year. Tranmere were in a real mess towards the back end of last season, but got out of it. I think that result at Cheltenham on a Tuesday night near the end just got them out of trouble, whereas Shrewsbury were terrible for the vast majority of the recent campaign. Again, pulled it back towards the end of the season and survived quite comfortably, but that first half of the season was very, very dire from them. They've not made any real signings that take my attention, to be honest. Shrewsbury, they've got our former academy graduate, Joe Bode, who went to Luton, didn't really make an impression, went on loan to Woking, did reasonably okay, and has now got moved back into the EFL, so I wish him well, apart from when he plays us. But Tranmere, I think there's more reason to be optimistic. I think Royal Vogt is a very strong signing, great experience, still very technically good, and will be a very good player at this level. Tom Ince, on the face of it, Tom Ince I think is exciting, and I think he can, by all accounts, do very well at this level, but he is ageing now, so we'll see about that one. But I've got this one to be predictably a draw. I think Tranmere, I wouldn't be surprised if they do edge it on the day, but I think these are two teams who are going to have an average season at best. I think Tranmere probably finish higher than Shrewsbury, but still I don't think any of them will be particularly pleased come the end of May. Jordan's gone for 0-0, Luke's gone with a 0-0, and Jack, the Tranmere fan, has gone for a 3-0 Tranmere victory. So read into that what you will. And finally, York v Bristol Rovers. Very interesting game again on paper. York, well, there was so much optimism about them, but the Scott Lindsey appointment sort of thrown that in the air a little bit. Disappointing early cup exit in the preliminary rounds to Crawley. Again, there's so many teams. Obviously, it is the first game of the season, so you can't read a lot into anything, but York are one of those teams where the start, I think, is going to be really important for them compared to a lot of other teams, because many fans wanted Scott Lindsey to come in as Maynard's replacement in the first place, and now he is there. They have a chance of York getting sacked towards him during that, say, Crawley game. So if they start badly, the pressure is automatically already on Scott Lindsey, and it could snowball negatively from there. So I think in terms of the start of the season, first 5 games or whatever, I think they're far more important to York than they are a lot of other teams in the division. Bristol Rovers, Steve Evans, promotion winner. It's kind of what he does, isn't it? I have them 5th and to win the playoffs. I know it's a bit of a to predict the playoffs winners already, but I think they'll go up this year. I think Steve Evans run from it, which he probably can do now because there's quite a bit of weight. It's a fair play to him, but you can't escape it. Shrewsbury Stevenage, when he was last in League 2. Prior to that Bristol Rovers appointment, he got them promoted with a very Steve Evans way of playing football. Not too pretty, but always effective. I think it's just what he does. I know people sometimes will say they dislike Steve Evans and whatnot, and I get it, but having seen him manage our club, obviously didn't end particularly well. Bastard's beyond the scenes and whatever else. He's a very nice bloke, and I think that he will get Bristol Rovers promoted this year. And I've gone for them to win this game 3-1 because, like I said, I think the start of the season is very important for York, and if it doesn't go their way, it's going to be a negative snowball on Scott Lindsey. And I with the unrest already in the crowd, I don't know. I just don't. And on this occasion, if they go 1-0 down, for example, I think that the atmosphere could turn very quickly, which isn't great news for him. But decisions made by the people in charge at York will dictate what happens, I guess. They've already made one big one. Hopefully they won't have to make another one very quickly, but that could well be the case. Yeah, just to wrap up on this game and the predictions as a whole, Jordan's gone with a 2-1 Bristol Rovers victory. Luke's gone for a 2-1 Bristol Rovers victory, and Jack's gone for a 2-0 victory for Bristol Rovers. So all predicting Bristol Rovers victories. Mine was by 3-1. I can't remember what I said, so I'll just repeat it. Yeah, those are my and some other members of the team's predictions for opening day of League Two. Exciting to be back. Hope you all have a great first day. Not sound like you're at school or anything, but a great first day back watching your team, whether you're going to the pub and going to a nice walk down to your home ground, or whether you're on a train in the middle of nowhere. It's always great to have the football back. And yeah, like I said, it's just a short one today, just to sort of go over a few things and whatever, make some predictions. We'll be back after these first round of games to review it back in a normal format, where it'll be a longer video, more in depth, etc. So bear with us on that one. Sorry to have just a shorter video today for a preview, but yeah, big things to come from the channel this season. So hopefully you'll all be joining us for that. You can find us on Twitter at FB Lowdown, at League Two Lowdown on Twitter, TikTok, sorry, Facebook, whatever else, Instagram. So yeah, keep locked in. We'll see you next time. Thank you.